brothers and sisters, and welcome to another edition of BFR Ministry, Bible Facts Revealed. We are an extension of Absolute Bible Truth Atlanta, where Brother Joshua and Brother Big Baby are the teachers there, along with assistant pastors, Brother Antoine, Brother LeVar, Brother Jeff, and Brother Kevin. And we would like to invite you to join us on Blog Talk Radio for our Absolute Bible Truth Sabbath class every Saturday. That's 5 p.m., between 5 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with our teacher, Brother Joshua, who will be giving us a blessed and edified class. That's every Sabbath, every Saturday. Join us on Blog Talk Radio, where you will be getting an edified class from Brother Joshua. I'm Brother David, your teacher for today, and reading for me as usual is Sister Teresa.
How are you?
And we are Absolute Bible Truth Chicago. And our motto here is, if they can't prove it, don't you believe it. And the title of our class today is Enchantment, the Practitioners of Black Magic. Once again, the title of our class today is Enchantment, the Practitioners of Black Magic. And I thought it was high time that we do this lesson as well, because it's not a topic that a lot of Christians talk about, and it's all through the Bible. It amazes me how little conversation is about this topic, because when you look at the Bible from day one, and the Lord tells you that Israel or whomever he's talking about, other nations, said, you have sinned against me. And you have to look at the sin that they commit, because the majority of it is through some of the arts, like black magic. You got magicians, you got wizards, you got the Witch of Endor. And you look at these things, and you got people casting spells, you got necromancy. All this stuff is in the Bible. Then you got people that talk about, some of my Hebrew brothers, they'll talk about magic and they'll swear that it's just a sleight of hands. I promise you, brothers and sisters, that it's way more than that. It is real, okay? And it's going on even today. So I decided that this lesson here, Enchantment, because it's all the same. Black magic, divination, witchcraft, spiritism, conjuring spells, consulting mediums, necromancy, soothsaying, all that. Interpreting omens.
Well, you know, you said Christians don't talk about this normally, but they do. They speak of all of those things, but not as it relates to the Bible.
Exactly. You're absolutely correct. And that's my whole point, and why I started to just give you a little touch of what's really actually written in your Bibles, and a few other things, so you can kind of see that this stuff is still ongoing, brothers and sisters. And in another lesson, I'm going to show you who brought this stuff to the world, to the earth. Because man was taught this stuff by some entities that should not have taught him this. And that's what corrupted this earth. And that's what corrupted mankind. And it's still corrupting mankind. And it's all throughout the Bible. These people who practice these dark arts, okay, or what you would call black magic. You know, and the prophets were totally against this. They warned Israel, God's nation, that he chose to be his priest. He warned Israel, hey, look, you're going to be spewed out of this promised land if you do what the nations that I'm going to cause you to boot these nations out before you. And if you do what they do, the land going to spew you out to. What do you think them nations was doing? They were dealing with this stuff. And, of course, Israel don't like what they've been blessed with. They always want to follow after somebody that's going the wrong way, and that's what got them booted out. The very thing that the Lord warned them not to deal with, they did, and it got them booted out. So what we're going to do, and not waste any time, we're going to just delve into this and deal with a few characters in the Bible as well that dealt with this stuff. And of course we know Israel did, but we're going to just take you on this journey with us, dealing with this particular subject matter, and hopefully you'll understand that this is something that you should not be involved in any way, form, or fashion. So without any further ado, Teresa, let's go to the Nelson's Illustrated Dictionary of the Bible, page 342, and we're going to define the word enchantment, because it's part of our title Okay, so let's define that word out of this Bible dictionary right here.
Enchantment is the practice of magic or sorcery.
Who?
Sorcery.
Magic or sorcery. They one and the same. But go ahead.
In the Bible, enchantment is used as a general word that can refer to several types of supernatural experiences.
It's supernatural, brothers and sisters. This ain't no sleight of hands here. Okay? Remember that. Go ahead.
Including fortune telling, calling up devils.
Calling up who?
Devils.
Devils. Okay, go ahead.
And controlling evil spirits.
You know the evil spirit? Of course you do. But you have people who understand the art of this magic or this sorcery, and they can call these evil spirits up and control them even. Okay? There's an individual in the Bible who had powers and was given power over demons, but we ain't gonna get into that. Go ahead.
Most ancient civilizations believed in such magical approaches to religion.
To what?
To religion.
To religion, brothers and sisters. So, hey, don't think that it's far away from you because it's right under your nose. Those of you who say you're religious, this stuff is right under your nose. Go ahead.
But the Mosaic law referred to such practices as abominations.
As abominations. Go ahead.
Forbidding them to the Hebrews.
And you can read that in Deuteronomy 18, verses 10 to 12. Go ahead.
The law also provided that practitioners of such black magic should be stoned.
Should be what?
Stoned.
Stoned, brothers and sisters. This was a death sentence to do this, to deal with this stuff, to delve into this. This was a death sentence according to the Mosaic law. So, and you can read that in Leviticus 20 and 27. All right, let's continue and look at this word again in the Unger's Bible Dictionary, page 313. Let's read it from that perspective. Unger's Bible Dictionary, page 313. Read that word, enchantment.
Enchantment, the practice of magic.
Same thing. Go ahead.
Or the speaking of certain words whereby evil supernatural forces are invoked.
Are invoked. It says speaking of certain words. This is casting a spell, brothers and sisters. When you speak certain words and group them together and you whisper and say, this stuff is ongoing today. Okay? But it says speaking certain words whereby evil supernatural forces. I mean, there's some demons again, calling up demons and so forth. Go ahead.
In order to achieve supernatural effects over human beings.
Over what?
Over human beings.
Over human beings, brothers and sisters. You got people doing this to this day, and believe it or not, it's in religious places that profess to be very religious, church goers and all that. You got this stuff going on in the midst of the church. I kid you not. Go ahead.
Animals or natural phenomena.
Go ahead.
Under this category are included magic.
You read that in Exodus 7. Go ahead.
Conjuration, exorcism.
You can read that in Acts 19. Go ahead.
Sorcery.
You can read it in Acts 8 chapter. Go ahead. And Acts 13 chapter. Go ahead.
This traffic is quackery.
Which means, read that meaning of quackery.
Meaning one who pretends to have medical skills, pretending to cure diseases.
And pretending, it said. So how do a person get you to believe? They're a pretender, but they have convinced you that they have this skill. They put something on you by speaking these words that invoke words that bring about a spell. It's as simple as that. Go ahead and continue.
Or in bone-side spiritism.
Spiritism is another thing. This is part of it too. And that word spiritism meaning what?
Meaning a belief that spirits of the dead communicate with the living, usually through a medium.
Through a medium, through a person who invokes the spirit of the dead and they communicate with them. That's necromancy, is it not? And many other things, but just briefly, I just want to throw that out there. Continue.
was forbidden by the law of
The
Moses.
Lord was not with this stuff. This is what got Israel kicked out of the land, brothers and sisters. They got into this knee deep, and amongst a whole lot of other things that were that made them corrupt and filthy and unclean. But this right here, they were really into this. I'm talking about even the priests. And as the priests go, so do the people. They start practicing this stuff as well. So you're talking about the Levitical priests, but go ahead.
Sometimes magic is not easily distinguished from divination.
But they one and the same. I kid you not. In what?
In the English version.
So it gets kind of blurred when you get to looking at it English-wise and looking at these words. They all seem like it's a different thing. No, they're not. They're all connected. They're one. It's got different names. But when you look at it, you're dealing with the same thing. You're dealing with witchcraft. You're dealing with sorcery. You're dealing with wizards. A wizard is nothing but a male witch, brothers and sisters. Go ahead.
See Merrill F. Unger's Bible, Demonology, 1932, page 107 through 118 for a full discussion.
And you can look at what we just read about the divination in English versions. They're not easily distinguished. You can read Numbers 23, which we're going to touch on, and Numbers 24, 2 Kings 17, Jeremiah 27, and you'll see that they appear to be different. They're not. They're doing the same thing in each one of the places you go to. So this is all connected. You got magic, enchantment, spells, and drugs already in the Bible. When you go to Genesis, the 4th chapter, brothers and sisters, and you understand Lamech and his 2 wives, Ada and Zillah, there was some things going on. There was a potion given to one of these sisters. Okay? And what do you think that was? This stuff is all over the place. It's all throughout the history of Israel and the nations that was before Israel. And after, and even today, they still deal with this stuff. So now let's get into the Bible and start dealing with some of this and some of the warnings that God gave his people not to get into this stuff. Don't deal with this stuff. I'm not with this stuff. And if you're my people and you're holy, I don't want you delving off into this witchcraft and this magic and this sorcery, soothsaying, necromancy, all of these things, one and the same. But let's go to Deuteronomy 18, because that was mentioned early, and let's read Deuteronomy 18. We're going to start at the 10 and read to the 14. When you get there, read it, because this is talking about what the law forbade. It forbade Israel, or forbid Israel from dealing with this stuff, enchantment and witchcraft. So when you get to 10, read that 10th verse.
There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire.
Wait a minute, who are you talking to?
Talking to Israel.
He's talking to Israel, and if you profess to be Israel, you better remember this, because some of this stuff may be going on around you. You're not paying any attention to it because you don't think it matters anymore. No, this is ancient history. This is also prevalent today in our existing time, and it will be going on, because I can almost show you something else as we get into the lesson. This lesson to prove that to you. But anyway, he say, don't make your sons and daughters pass through the fire, meaning don't sacrifice your children to the God. This pagan God here. His name is Molech. But anyway, that was one of them. They had the fire god, Molech, and so forth. Continue reading this. And it's going to start telling you, the Lord is getting very specific now. Don't make your children pass through the fire, or what else? Go ahead.
Or that useth divination, or an observer of time.
Go ahead.
Or an enchanter.
Go ahead.
Or a witch.
Witch, go ahead.
Or a charmer.
Go ahead.
Or a consulter with familiar spirits.
Go ahead.
Or a wizard. Or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord.
They are what to the Lord?
An abomination.
An abomination to the Lord if you're involved in this stuff. It might seem cute, okay, to have these tattoos of certain things that invoke this nonsense right here on your body, but you can't do that. A lot of people are doing a lot of things they don't understand. okay, and have meaning to it, ancient meanings to it that's still prevalent today, and they got tattoos all over their body of this nonsense, and you're really, really, really setting yourself up for a lot of things, okay? And we can get into another lesson, and I can show you that as well, but continue reading this.
And because of these abominations, the Lord thy God doth drive them out from before thee.
The nations that was before Israel, that's what they was doing. And Israel got caught up in it big time. They ain't in the land no more. Go ahead.
Thou shalt be perfect with the Lord thy God.
What is perfect in this context?
Obedient.
Obedient. In compliance.
Entirely.
With my with my statutes, my laws. And Israel, it started out trying to be for a minute, but they got to seeing how loose these other nations was and all the stuff they was doing. That stuff caught their attention and they just got absorbed with it. And then they tried to infuse it with God's truth and His holiness, and that don't work, brothers and sisters. You can't do that. But go ahead.
For these nations which thou shalt possess hearkened unto observers of times.
Go ahead.
And unto diviners.
Right. Go ahead.
But as for thee, the Lord thy God hath not suffered thee to do so.
He hasn't commanded you to do this, Israel. Don't you get caught up in this stuff. Israel, listen. Nope. And they ain't listening to this day. Because believe it or not, there's a lot of people you think are on the up and up. They in this stuff right here. And you just not paying attention because you put it to the curb. You put it to the side. Oh, that's just ancient stuff. It don't mean nothing. You got to open your eyes. You can see it everywhere. You can hear it everywhere. It is still existing. And it's stronger than ever. It's not something that's laid back anymore. They're coming right at you with it. So what we're going to do now, after reading it, we're going to read and define this word. We're going to go to the Strong's. We're going to go to Strong's 6049 in the Hebrew, and we're going to define the word that's translated observer of times. Okay, and what's the word?
The word is Anan.
And it means?
A primary root to cover, used only as a denominative from 6051.
Go ahead.
To cloud over.
Okay.
Figuratively, to act covertly.
Covertly, go ahead.
I.e., practice magic.
So sometimes when people are practicing magic, people don't know what they're doing. They're doing it covertly. That's why you have people who cast spells on people. They whisper very low in a very low voice, and you don't know what they're doing. You see them people, their mouth moving and whatnot. That's what they're doing. Okay, go ahead.
By extension, bringing enchanters, men on men, observer of times.
Go ahead.
Soothsayer, sorcerer.
And that's like a soothsayer is like a one that read the clouds, or tea leaves, or just plain simple astrology, brothers and sisters. All of this stuff is connected. And they have you in these churches talking about astrology and all this, that, and other. Hey, this is what you're dealing with. But in any case, let's keep it moving, so according to the law of God, which they call the law of Moses, the nation of Israel could not practice enchantment or magic or divination, one and the same. All dealing with the same stuff that the Lord say you cannot be. None of this stuff be found among you, Israel. Okay, and like I said, sometimes we read that in one of the definitions. It's hard to distinguish between the two, magic or divination, in the English language, but they're the same. Okay, we're going to show you that as we go as well. If you read and pay attention to what you read, you can see that. Let's go to Numbers 23, and we're going to read 22 to 23. This is talking about an individual named Balaam. And you can read what Balaam was called: a magician, a sorcerer, and he was also a prophet for hire. Because if Balaam cursed you, you were cursed indeed. And I'm going to tell you something else about this Balaam. He knew the Most High God. And that's real strange, isn't it? Maybe not. It doesn't say if Balaam was a righteous man from the beginning or not. I'm going to show you a little bit about his history coming up, at least from 15 on up. But this man was a prophet for hire. You can read about him and it'll tell you that. And he did something here that's opposite of what he was about. Okay, to Israel. Okay, start reading at verse 20.
Behold, I have received...
Wait a minute. Go ahead, keep reading.
I have received commandment to bless.
From who? Who told Balaam to bless Israel? Because that's who we talking about here. He said, I have received commandment to bless. From who, brothers and sisters? Certainly ain't no demon gonna tell him that, or no evil spirit gonna tell him to bless nobody. That came from the Lord. It's this commandment. Go ahead.
And he hath blessed, and I cannot reverse it.
He said, God has blessed, and he can't reverse it. Go ahead.
He hath not beheld iniquity in Jacob.
The Lord at that time, no. Go ahead.
Neither hath he seen perverseness in Israel.
Jacob and Israel is one and the same. Go ahead.
The Lord his God is with him.
The Lord his God is with him. Go ahead.
And the shout of a king is among them.
This is why he couldn't curse Israel, because the Lord was with Israel. You can't do no harm to somebody and their God is with them and fights for them. You can't do it. And he had sense enough to know this. Go ahead.
God brought them out of Egypt. He hath, as it were, the strength of an unicorn.
That's a powerful beast, showing you how powerful. Comparing the unicorn's power with the Lord. That means the Lord is a powerful beast when you understand what this animal is.
Sure.
It ain't no rhinoceros.
No, it's not.
It is definitely not. It's an extinct bull or ox. That's what it is.
That was almost the size of an elephant.
Of an elephant. If you do research on this unicorn, the real one ain't no horse with no horn in his head either. But that's another lesson too. But go ahead, continue this.
Surely there is no enchantment against Jacob.
No spell against him. You can't conjure up no spell and it work against Jacob. Not with the Lord with him. Go ahead.
Neither is there any divination against Israel.
No magic. No, it's not going to work against Israel. As long as they was walking the way they're supposed to walk, the Lord had their back. And nothing nobody could do could affect them. They couldn't even lose wars if they had stayed upright with the Lord. They were invincible. But, as we know, they're not in the land today, so what happened? Think about it. Go ahead.
According to this time, it shall be said of Jacob and of Israel.
It's one and the same. Go ahead.
What hath God wrought?
What has he done? We just read what he did with respect to Israel. Okay, now we're going to go to Numbers 24 and read one verse. We're going to continue kind of taking a real close look at this Balaam, because this is a very interesting character here when you understand what he was about. Okay, Numbers 24 and 1, and when he did something, he said he blessed Israel, he couldn't take it back. And this is like a continuation about that, because there were some people that paid him, want to pay him to curse them. Okay, this is what this is all about. But read that first verse, that 24th chapter, first verse of Numbers.
And when Balaam saw that it pleased the Lord to bless Israel,
Go ahead.
he went not, as at other times, to seek for enchantments.
And that means to try to cast a spell. If you define this word enchantments here, enchantments, it's the same word as 5172 that we've read already, and it's nakash, and it means to hiss, to whisper a spell. That's what they wanted Balaam to do, cast a spell on Israel. He divined a spell
to stop them.
Exactly, because the people who sent for him were afraid of Israel, and they had a right to be, because the Lord was with them. Okay, now we finished that. Okay, finish it.
But he set his face toward the wilderness.
Okay, well, I just want to read that one verse to still give you some insight on this Balaam. But we're going to continue talking about this Balaam, because Balaam's profession was casting spells on people. That's how he earned and made his living. He was a professional magician, sorcerer, or a prophet for hire, brothers and sisters. Because he said who he blessed by will of the Lord, they were blessed. He couldn't take it back. Who he cursed, couldn't take it back. In any case, he was paid cash money to cast spells on people. It's plain and simple. Okay, so let's look at this a little closer look, even closer look at this Balaam, the sorcerer or prophet for hire. We're going to go into the book of Jasher, chapter 61, and we're going to read from the 8th verse to the 11th verse. And this is Balaam, a very young Balaam here. And there was something going on with this Edomite named Zepho, and they, this Angus wanted him to war with Israel at the time, and the sons of Jacob, who were in Egypt as well. And he just, he didn't want to do it. So they wanted to pay him to do this. So this is Balaam at the age of 15, brothers and sisters. Start reading that 8th verse.
And amongst the servants of Angus was a youth 15 years old.
15, go ahead.
Balaam, the son of Beor, was his name.
So Balaam was the son of Beor. Okay, go ahead.
And the youth was very wise and understood the art of witchcraft.
So he was wise in the art of witchcraft, sorcery, and all those other things we mentioned at the beginning of this lesson, because they're all connected. This man was an expert in this stuff, casting spells on people, whispering spells, conjuring, all of that. Go ahead.
And Angus said unto Balaam, conjure for us.
Conjure for us. Okay.
I pray thee, with the witchcraft.
With what?
Witchcraft.
With the witchcraft, brothers and sisters. Go ahead.
That we may know who will prevail in this battle to which we are now proceeding.
They say, which we didn't know, so they want him to look in the future.
Yeah. Fortune teller.
Exactly. Predict the future. How could he do that? We're gonna find out what these people practice. These are the dark arts, brothers and sisters. And you got people with the ability to do this today. I kid you not. But anyway, let's continue this.
And Balaam ordered that they should bring him wax. And he made thereof the likeness of a chariot and horsemen.
So he's making little replicas of the army of one side and the army of the other side. Okay, go ahead.
Representing the army of Angus and the army of Egypt.
Which Israel was with. Go ahead.
And he put them in cunningly prepared waters. What?
Specially prepared waters. Just like he specially prepared that wax by carving the image. Okay? These are specially prepared waters for this magic. This conjuring of a spell to be able to look in the future or to contact an evil spirit. And all those other things attached to this. Go ahead.
That he had for that purpose. And he took his hand the bark of myrtle trees. And he exercised his cunning.
You're beginning to speak and work up this spell. Go ahead.
And he joined them over the water. And there appeared unto him in the water the resembling images of the hosts of Angus.
So he saw a vision. He saw what they wanted to know. The future. Go ahead.
Falling before the resembling images of the Egyptians and the sons of Jacob.
So they came out on the wrong end of this thing. But they asked him and he told them. And he didn't tell them no lie. Go ahead.
And Balaam told this thing to Angus. And Angus despaired and did not arm himself or go down to Egypt to battle.
He must have believed Balaam then. That means Balaam conjured up something that convinced this man that what he conjured up and saw was the truth. And he didn't go. Wise move. Go ahead.
And he remained in his city.
People, you have people who can do this stuff today. I'm telling you. And you'd be surprised. You might be sitting amongst them. You might be listening to them. But this is in the Bible. And when I say the Bible, we read about Balaam, who's in the Bible. And this book of Jasher is mentioned in the Bible twice. All you got to do is look it up. It wouldn't be mentioned in the Bible if it wasn't used for a reference to give you some additional information on characters that are written in the Bible that very few things are said about. So keep that in mind. This is a historical reference here as well. Okay, now let's go to 2 Kings 17, and we're going to continue this. We're going to start 2 Kings 17, verse 12, and read to the 17. And like we had read earlier, sometimes it's hard in the English to determine what we talk about, divination or enchantments, but they one and the same. You see the same results when you get into this stuff. They appear different, but they're the same. Go ahead. Start at verse 12.
For they served idols.
Oh, go ahead.
Whereof the Lord had said unto them, ye shall not do this thing.
We read about that earlier when he told Israel, don't do that. Don't deal with this stuff. Go ahead.
Yet the Lord testified against Israel and against Judah.
Because when Balaam carved that wax figure up, what was that? That was an idol, brothers and sisters. And he conjured up this spell. This is what you use. This is what the Lord is saying. Don't do that. Because you be serving those things when you do that. Go ahead.
By all the prophets and by all the seers, saying, turn ye from your evil ways and keep my commandments and my statutes according to all the law which I commanded your fathers.
Go ahead.
And which I sent to you by my servants, the prophets.
Moses being one of them. Just being specific. Go ahead.
Notwithstanding, they would not hear.
They would not hear the word of God anymore. They turned their back. Go ahead.
But hardened their necks, like to the neck of their fathers.
Go ahead.
That did not believe in the Lord their God.
Did not believe. People think that faith came with the New Testament. Here it is right here in the Old Testament. Believe. They didn't have no faith. In the statutes and laws and the word of God, the promises of God, none of that.
With all that he had done. And
all that, exactly. Had seen his power and everything. They didn't have no faith. Go ahead.
And they rejected his statutes and his covenant that he had made with their fathers.
And those statutes were their understanding amongst the nations that they started becoming familiar with. That was their knowledge, their understanding. And it was something else, but they lost sight of it. Go ahead.
And his testimonies, which he testified against them.
Because knowledge gives you power, brothers and sisters, over people. When you know more than them, you're more likely to be able to maneuver, and they won't be able to do what you can do because they don't know what you know. You understand what I'm saying? Go ahead.
And they followed vanity and became vain.
Vain. Go ahead.
And went after the heathen that were around about them.
Wanted to do everything they Lord, give us a king, because the other nations got a king. They didn't want the Lord to be their king. All of this, brothers and sisters, because of this witchcraft. Go ahead.
Concerning whom the Lord had charged them, that they should not do like them. And they left all the commandments of the Lord their God.
Kicked them to the curb. Go ahead.
And made them molten images.
Images for this witchcraft. Go ahead. Purpose of witchcraft. Go ahead.
Even two calves.
Remember that? One of Israel's kings made two calves. Said, these be your gods, Israel. Go ahead.
And made a grove.
He was Jeroboam. Go
and
ahead.
worshipped all the host of heaven and served
What's
Baal.
a grove? That's a tree that carved into some, look like some, whatever, some god. Tree god. Go ahead.
And they caused their sons and daughters to pass through the fire.
Ain't no child going. You take a child today and tell them to touch a stove. Oh, it's hot, mama. No, they ain't gonna do it. They had to put them under them spells to do this, brothers and sisters. They put their own children under these spells, under these conjuring up these spells and whatnot, and they were
just like you can see it today when you see things on television where you see people walking on fire and they look like they in a trance. Same thing.
Yep. Yeah, they walking through this fire like they under a spell, brothers and sisters, because ain't no child in their right mind gonna want to be burnt by no fire. They gonna run away from it every time. but they're like zombies walking through this fire. Just look at remember some of the pictures you've seen. Even some of the stuff you see coming out of Africa and on the islands with these brothers, these witch doctors and stuff like that. They're in a trance. And this is what Israel was knee deep in, brothers and sisters. The Lord told them, don't mess with this stuff. That's why I'm booting these nations out that I'm having you boot out. Now, if you deal with this, I'm going to boot you out the land too. What the land do? Spew Israel out as well. But this is what we talk about. All these years you reading about this, you never even knew that they had them kids, they sacrificed their kids, had them walking through fire, and the child just walked through it like he was just a zombie. But he was under a spell. They used magic. And so I can show you another lesson, potions, which we might touch on a little bit at the end of this lesson as well. Meaning medicine, they call it medicine. That's another lesson as well, but I'm going to touch on that a little bit, so I want you to continue this where you left off and continue.
And use divination and enchantments, and sold themselves to do evil in the sight of the Lord.
Go ahead.
To provoke him to anger.
Provoking man, you did that. That's evil in the sight of the Lord. You know, not so much as you sending your kids and sacrificing them to some pagan god or a god that's not a god. Yeah, that's evil. All this is evil. But just casting the spell, practicing this magic and this witchcraft, that's evil. And the Lord didn't like that. But you don't even like it today. But people think, don't know, preachers really don't preach. I don't hear no churches talking about this, really talking about this, warning people don't get involved in this stuff. It's in the Bible, but they kick it, you know. And some of the Gentile teachers that I've heard, they speak on it a little bit more than black teachers, but it's like y'all don't understand that this is part of your heritage. And this is what your forefathers did to get the Lord angry at him enough to where he booted them out of their promised land. And you're still dealing with this stuff, thinking it don't matter. It does matter to God. He commanded you not to deal with it, and you're just breaking that commandment to this day. But we're going to continue. Israel rebelled against the Lord and the laws that he gave Moses to give them by practicing this enchantment and sorcery, i.e. black magic. Okay, we're going to keep it moving, and we're going to stick with this Balaam. This is a very interesting character here, because, again, he was a prophet for hire. Okay? And we're going to read about this, because when you read about these magicians and the wise men of these kings, they were on the king's payroll, brothers and sisters. They were being kept by these kings. High up, they lived good. But they had this ability to deal with these dark arts and could tell the kings this, that, and other, interpret dreams and different things like that.
They were like his advisors.
Exactly. That's exactly what they were. But anyway, for their professional services, they were paid. They were on the king's payroll. They were kept by the king. Anyway, let's continue in the book of Jasher. Let's go to chapter 70. We're going to read 1 and 2, skip to 5 and 7, then skip to 37 to 39. And let's read about Balaam, who comes across one of the greatest prophets in this Bible, Moses, because their lives, they bumped heads, brothers and sisters. Moses and Balaam. In any case, who do you think it was that interpreted this dream Pharaoh had? Okay, and the dream pertained to Moses, but it was Balaam that gave the interpretation to him of what it meant and what he should do about this child. But in any case, let's touch on this a little bit. Starting with verse 1.
And in the 3rd year from the birth of Moses,
he was 3 years old. Go ahead.
Pharaoh was sitting at a banquet.
And he was hiding in the house of Pharaoh. Moses was. Go ahead.
When Alperaneth, the queen, was sitting at his right, and Bathia at his left, and the lad Moses was lying upon her bosom.
Okay, they sit all at this banquet table and whatnot, and Moses, 3 years old, lying on. Look what he does. Go ahead.
And Balaam, the son of Beor.
Oh, he was there too. Balaam. And who else was with Balaam?
With his 2 sons.
With his 2 sons. Well, now, if he was a magician, what do you think they were? Family business? Okay? What do you think who are these 2 guys anyway? We're going to find that out later on. Go ahead.
And all the princes of the kingdom were sitting at table in the king's presence.
Go ahead.
And the lad stretched forth his hand upon the king's head.
This is Moses. He stretched forth his hand upon the king's head. Go ahead.
And took the crown from the king's head and placed it on his own head.
And everybody had a fit to see him do that. But Balaam interpreted that to mean something. Let's skip to 5 and read to the 9 and see what this interpretation was that he told the king at that time. Go ahead.
And Balaam the son of Beor, the magician, answered before the king and princes, and he said.
So Balaam, they call him Balaam a magician also. It's all this stuff means the same thing, brothers and sisters. Go ahead.
Remember now, O my lord and king, the dream which thou didst dream many days since.
Go ahead.
And that which thy servant interpreted unto thee.
So he interpreted this dream that Pharaoh had before that this even happened. And the dream that he interpreted for Pharaoh was exactly what Moses did. Okay, and he's pointed out to him. Go ahead.
Now therefore, this is a child from the Hebrew children, in whom is the Spirit of God.
See, Israel didn't know what they had going. In all the Hebrew children at that time was the Spirit of God. We talk about power to do a lot of things naturally. Had a very special ability because as long as you were right with God, you had this going for you. Go ahead.
And let not my king, Lord the king, imagine that this youngster did this thing without knowledge.
Yeah, don't think that he's just a little stupid lad, he just fumbling around. He said, oh, that baby's so cute. Balaam said, no, I don't think that. He's 3 years old, but this 3-year-old got some knowledge.
I know some 3-year-olds got some knowledge.
Exactly. So Balaam is trying to tell him, hey, look here, man. So go ahead, continue this.
For he is a Hebrew boy.
Go ahead.
And wisdom and understanding are with him.
Wisdom and understanding are with him, meaning God is with him. This is a Hebrew boy. Go ahead.
Although he is yet a child, and with wisdom he has done this and chosen unto himself the kingdom of Egypt.
Knowingly chose the kingdom of Egypt. I'm taking it. Just like I'm taking this crown off your head, I'm taking it. This was what Balaam told Pharaoh about this Moses. Okay, Moses was supposed to be killed at birth, but it was a switch. I ain't gonna get off into it. That's another story in itself, but it led up to this right here. And you need to get this book of Jasher and read this, because it'll line up with the Bible perfectly. Go ahead.
For this is the manner of all the Hebrews who deceive kings and their nobles.
Okay, go ahead.
To do all those things cunningly in order to make the kings of the earth and their men tremble.
Tremble. Fear. Because when a child that young did what he did, they couldn't believe it. But it meant something. This is what these people do. They figure every time a person does something, it can be interpreted to mean something. Okay, go ahead.
Surely thou knowest that Abraham their father acted thus.
Now he's going to run a little bit of this history of the Hebrews down, starting with Abraham and what he did. Go ahead.
Who deceived the army of Nimrod, king of Babel, and Abimelech, king of Gerar, and that he possessed himself of the land of the children of Heth.
Okay, talking about that burial cave he bought from him, but they gave it to him because they feared Abraham. But that's another lesson in itself too. But he's telling the truth. Go ahead.
And all the kingdoms of Canaan.
Let's skip down now to verse 37 and read to 39. Let's finish this.
And they told him all the counsels which Balaam the son of Beor had counseled against them, and what he had also counseled against him in order to slay him when he had taken the king's crown from off his head.
So they was talking about killing Moses again. Okay? Because this is not the first time it was mentioned. Like I said, we didn't get into that, the first part of this, but we just get into the meat of this thing because we looking at this Balaam, okay? And the magician or the prophet for hire or Balaam the sorcerer. Go ahead.
And when Moses heard these things, his anger was kindled against Balaam.
Go ahead.
And he sought to kill him. And he was in ambush for him day by day.
This happens when you skip down. Moses had grew some. And when he found out about what he had wanted to do to him when he was young, he was looking to deal with this Balaam. Oh, you trying to kill me? Mm-hmm. And this ain't the first time you tried to do this? So Moses getting ready to deal with him. I mean, truly deal with him, like kill him. Go ahead.
And Balaam was afraid of Moses.
Uh-huh.
And he and his 2 sons rose up and went forth from Egypt.
They fled. They escaped. They ran because they knew Moses was for real. He was going to take them out. Go ahead.
And not only that, that God was with him.
Exactly.
That.
Exactly. That's the fear that was on him. But Moses had just as much wisdom or power than this Balaam. Mm-hmm. That's why he feared him too. Okay? But I'm looking at something there. Did you catch that? It says he and his what? His 2 sons. Who are these 2 men? Mm-hmm. He keep hanging with these 2 boys, these 2 sons of Balaam. Keep that in mind. Go ahead. We're going to find out later who they are. Go ahead.
They fled and delivered their souls and betook themselves to the land of Cush, to Kikanos.
Okay.
King of Cush.
Of Cush. This is the king of Cush. So Balaam fled to him. And when you read closely about this move he made, that king accepted him and just welcomed him and gave him gold and all because he had heard Balaam. Remember, Balaam, we read, was at 15 years old doing this stuff. Mm-hmm. And he was much older here. Okay? So he was always welcomed by kings because they figured they had a conjurer, somebody who could look into the future. If they wanted to go fight somebody, they could ask Balaam to make wax figures and see if I go war against this nation, will I win?
He was a fortune teller.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And they knew this man could do this. So let's keep this moving by doing something that we're going to define a few words here. Before we continue on, we're going to go to the Webster's New Collegiate Dictionary, page 690, and we're going to define the word magician because it said Balaam magician. Look at what this definition of this word magician is. Go ahead.
Magician. One skilled in magic.
In what?
Magic.
In magic. Go ahead.
Especially sorcerer.
Especially sorcerer. They one and the same. Go ahead.
One who performs.
That was number 1. This is number 2, the second definition. What does that say?
One who performs tricks of illusions.
Okay.
And sleight of hand.
That's what it means in these modern day. But brothers and sisters, what Balaam did wasn't
sleight of hand.
Wasn't a sleight of hand. It was not. Okay, but you do have people who do little magic tricks and all that stuff, and that's what that is, but we ain't talking about that. That ain't what Israel got kicked out of the land for, sleight of hand tricks. They were really into this stuff. It's real. What we're going to do now, we're going to look at the Webster's New Collegiate Dictionary again, page 1109, and we're going to look at the word sorcerer, because it mentions sorcerer. Read that definition right quick. It's on page 1109, like I said, and this is the 1949 to 63 edition and 1973 edition of this Webster's New Collegiate Dictionary of the Bible. Webster's New Collegiate Dictionary. Go ahead.
Sorcerer, a person who practices sorcery, wizard.
And a wizard is nothing but a male witch. Look it up. But this is a person who practices sorcery. Wizard. He's called a wizard. So Balaam was a wizard as well. You seeing all these pictures and you see these wizards, you think it's just some foolishness, brothers and sisters. This stuff is coming out of your Bible. And you look at these things on TV, oh, that's just some phony stuff. Where do you think they get it from? If you believe the Bible, you should believe that wizards are real too. that sorcerers are real as well. That witchcraft.
And these wizards seem to always be attached to a king of some sort.
All the time. And you're not paying attention to this. You just pass it off like it means nothing anymore. No, it hasn't gone anywhere. It's been, if you will, underground. But not anymore. It's out in the open. They hit you with this stuff every time you cut the TV on. Look at the commercial.
Cartoon.
Listen, exactly. It's everywhere. And this is what got your forefathers, and you profess to be a Hebrew Israelite physically. I profess to be one of my wife and I, but we spiritual Israel. Because that's the best you can ask for right now. And that's what the Lord wants us to be from the beginning. Okay? Nevertheless, I'm just telling you that this stuff is real. This is not no buffoonery or no foolishness you're reading about in the Bible. We're going to continue defining words here because it says a person who practices sorcery. So we're going to define this word sorcery. It's on the same page, Webster's New Collegiate Dictionary, page 1109, and read the definition of sorcery. Okay, read.
Sorcery. The use of power gained from the assistance or control of evil spirits.
Of evil spirits, brothers and sisters. This is not a godly thing. Go ahead.
Especially for divining.
Go ahead.
Necromancy.
And necromancy. We're going to look at all this, but it's all one and the same. You know, even some things can be attached to, it's just talking to the dead. Spirit. Okay? Depends on the spirit you're talking about, because the witch of Endor was a necromancer. She brought up the spirit of Samuel. So you could be talking about that type of spirit of a person, or the spirit, or these evil spirits. Familiar spirits of other beings. Okay? Let's continue in this Webster's New Collegiate Dictionary, page 1347, 1949 to 1963 edition, and 1973, and look up the word wizard, because it mentioned wizard when we first defined the word sorcerer. It says sorcery or wizard, which I said was a male witch. But let's look at this. The first definition in wizard. What is it?
A wise man.
Okay, in what? What is he wise in?
Sage.
Okay, what's a sage? Go ahead.
One skilled in magic, sorcerer.
These people are skilled. And that's why they are paid what they are paid in the days of old. And to this day, if you go to a medium or a person professing to have this art, the skill of this art, you're going to pay money, brothers and sisters. It ain't changed, nothing changed. Go ahead.
Or skillful person, wizard, having magical influence or power.
Go ahead.
Of or relating to wizardry, enchanted.
Enchanted. Now, I mentioned sage. And what is a sage? I got that definition right up under there. What is that?
Sage, a wise man through reflection or experience, good judgment.
Okay, this is just general, but then it's a little bit deeper than that. All this is in the same circle, dealing with magic and spells and wizards and witches and all this stuff. Necromancy, talking to the dead, talking to the spirits of the dead, all of this. Okay? And soothsaying and all of this stuff. Now, let's continue this, because we know that Balaam and his family, that was their profession. And I'm going to show you when I said his family, because you said Balaam and his two sons, but I'm going to show you it was more than that. This was a family of wizards. Balaam was from up, because if he was what he was, what do you think his father was? His father was Beor. What do you think he was? Because these things are passed down to their children. And this is what it was. Balaam was a part of a family of magicians or wizards or necromancers. All those words, all apply to Balaam and his family. Let's go continue in this book of Jasher. Let's go to chapter 72. We're going to read verse 3, skip to 6, and then 10. And Moses at this time was 18 years old when he fled from Pharaoh. Okay, back in Egypt, Moses fled from him. And he ran to the same place that he chased Balaam and his sons. They went to the king of Cush. And this is what Moses is going to do. We're going to pick this up at verse 3. We can't read all of this, but I'm just trying to get to the points here, okay? Because I'm going somewhere with all of this. Go ahead.
And when Kikianus,
that's the king of Cush at that time. Go ahead.
went out, he left Balaam the magician with his 2 sons to guard the city.
You think that was a good thing for the king to do that? We're going to see. But here's this king. He is going out to battle. Okay? And he left Balaam the magician or the sorcerer, okay, to guard the city with his 2 sons. How are 3 men going to guard the city? I wonder what they was using as weapons. Think about what I'm telling you, brothers and sisters. These were magicians. These were wizards. These were individuals who dealt in sorcery, black magic. Okay? Go ahead.
And the lowest sort of the people of the land.
The lowest sort of the people of the land. They were supposed to guard the city and the people in the land. You know, protect them, in other words. Skip down to verse 6.
And Balaam the son of Beor, when the king of Cush had left him to guard the city and the poor of the city,
Go ahead.
he rose up and advised with the people of the land to rebel against King Kikianus.
Look at this man. After the king took him in, treated him like a king, gave him what he wanted, everything, the king going out to fight a war, okay, as kings do and did back then, as they still do today. Balaam turns on the man, double crosses him, in other words, putting it bluntly. All right, let's continue.
Not to let him enter the city when he should come home.
That's the king. Look at this Balaam. Is that wickedness, brothers and sisters? That's evil. Go ahead.
At the 4th corner, they collected numerous...
This is verse 10. I'm sorry, skip to verse 10. Go ahead.
At the 4th corner, they collected numerous serpents by their incantations and enchantments.
Wait a minute. Now, what did... So, he don't want the king to be allowed in the city when he comes. So, at the 4 corners, meaning on every side of his kingdom, he put these serpents. And these are some creatures here, brothers and sisters. Serpents. He said.
And remember, they said in the definition of wizards that they did it over human beings and animals.
Exactly. Precisely. That's what we're looking at here. And they're using this witchcraft and this stuff to keep this king out of his kingdom after he took him in. Him and his 2 sons doing this. He said they collected numerous serpents by their incantations and enchantments. This enchantment is the same thing, but go ahead, which are one and the same. Go ahead.
And they fortified the city and dwelt therein, and no one went out or in before them.
So now they're keeping all the people prisoner. No, it's just, ain't nobody going in because you got these serpents. You can't. These serpents bite you, you're dead. Okay? And this, look what he did. Now let's define a word. It says incantations. We're going to go back to the Webster's New Collegiate Dictionary, page 579, the 1949 to 63 edition and 1973. And we're going to define this word incantations. What does that word mean?
Incantations. To enchant.
To enchant. I mean, you speaking these words. It's like I said, you whispering what you putting a spell on folks. Or you doing something to cause something to help you do this. You bringing up an evil spirit to help you with your spells and so forth. But go ahead, it's going to tell us that. It says to enchant. Go ahead.
A use of spells or verbal charms spoken or sung as a part of a ritual of magic.
Okay, say or sung. So you can even be put under hypnosis or a spell can be put on with somebody singing a song.
Snake charm.
Snake charmers. This is what I was getting at. Took the words right out off my tongue. Exactly. So you don't understand what you're dealing with. All music ain't good, brothers and sisters. You listen to the stuff we listen to today in 2017, and you wonder why people are acting the way they act. All music is not good music. I'm just putting that on the table right there. And we got lessons on that as well. ABT, Absolute Bible Truth, has an excellent lesson about that. Okay, all music is not good music. Okay, and all songs that are sang or sung are not good songs. But go ahead.
Also, a written or recited formula of words.
Wait a minute. A written or a recited formula of words. So these words are very carefully put together, and when they're spoken in the right conditions, you're on the spell, brothers and sisters. It's as simple as that. You might not even know it. Okay? Because these people are skilled that do this stuff. Go ahead.
Designed to produce a particular effect.
Control you is what they're after, controlling you.
And that kind of reminds me of what? Hypnotist.
Exactly. All this stuff is connected. A hypnotist is a perfect example. You can be hypnotized under hypnosis, not even know.
A certain formula of
in
words.
A certain way, spoken a certain way, a certain formula, and you got, and you don't even know, to produce
a particular effect.
Exactly. We read that in one of the definitions earlier. So now we're going to continue this. We looking at this Balaam, and now Moses and him are connected, but they're bumping heads. They're gonna bump heads, and he's running from Moses, and it's like Moses is running after him, and it appears that way when you really understand the story behind these two men. Hey, and who you think gonna destroy him? Israel killed Balaam. And anyway, let's continue this with this king. He dies, and Moses began to do something after this king died, because they had to get his kingdom back out of the hands, out of the grip and the throes of Balaam and his two sons, who were magicians or sorcerers. All right, let's go now to the book of Jasher 73, chapter 73. We're going to read verse 2, skip to 19, 23, then 25, and then read 28 and 29. But let's look at Moses. He begins to do something here in the land of Cush, because when Balaam kept the king out from his kingdom, who do you think was with the king fighting? Moses was with the king, went out to war with him. And when he came back and couldn't get in, who do you think figured out a way to get inside the kingdom and get rid of them snakes? Moses did. Because remember, he said the child had wisdom and knowledge, the Lord with him, and it's going. If you read this book, it will blow you away, brothers and sisters. It's absolutely phenomenal. It lines up with the scriptures perfectly. Okay, when you understand what you're reading. Start reading at verse 2 at the 73rd chapter of the book of Jasher.
Moses was 27 years old when he began to reign over Cush.
So at 27 years old, Moses reigned. And if you reign, what are you?
A king.
You a king, brothers and sisters. In the land of Cush. This is what this is telling you. And if you check it out, the historians will back this up. This is record. This is a historic record. Okay? But go ahead.
And 40 years did he reign.
40 years. This is before he went back to free his people. Okay? You understand this.
It's been a long time.
A long time. But go ahead. Continue this. Skip to 19.
And after the young stork.
Now, these young storks are hawks. And what he did, the king couldn't get in the kingdom and whatnot. And Moses, look, I'll get you in. Moses figured a way out to get rid of them serpents. So he got some storks, which were young hawks, and had the men in the army raise them from birth, from young. And when they got big enough, they controlled them, put them on you know how people use those birds, those hawks, and they commanded them to go, and them hawks would do, and then come back. So this is how you're going to get rid of these serpents. When you read 19, that's what we're talking about. Go ahead. They reared them, so they raised them from youth. Go ahead. Moses, after the young storks, meaning hawks, were reared. Go ahead.
After the young storks were reared, the king ordered them to be hungered for 3 days.
For 3 days, they went out. They didn't feed them. Go ahead. I wonder why. Go ahead.
And all the people did so.
Now skip to 23.
And they sent forth each man his young stork.
His young hawk. Go ahead.
At the king's order.
Mm-hmm.
And the young storks ran upon the serpents, and they devoured them all and destroyed them out of that place.
The king was Moses, and they ran upon the serpents. They were Balaam's serpents, him and his sons. And these hawks just devoured them, ate them all up. Go ahead. We're going to skip now to 25. Read that.
They approached and fought against the city and took it and subdued it.
Because they had got rid of the serpents that was on every corner of the city. Them hawks ate them all up because they hadn't eaten in 3 days, so they got them serpents out of the way and they charged in the city and they took it from Balaam. Now, watch what happened again. This is, skip the verse. Go ahead, finish that.
And they entered the city.
They entered the city. Now, what Balaam do? Skip to verse 28, him and his 2 sons.
And Balaam the magician, when he saw that the city was taken,
he was taken back. Go ahead.
He opened the gate, and he and his 2 sons and 8 brothers.
What?
8 brothers.
He got 8 brothers. So it was more than just his 2 sons with him. This is his whole family. The only person missing in this equation is his daddy, Beor. But it was Balaam, his 2 sons, and his 8 brothers. They're all wizards, magicians, using this crafty enchantment, incantations, and so on. Go ahead.
Fled and returned to Egypt to Pharaoh, king of Egypt.
So they went back to Egypt. Skip down now to 29.
They are the sorcerers and magicians who are mentioned in the book of the law.
Go ahead.
Standing against Moses when the Lord brought the plagues upon Egypt.
What? So these are the magicians that Pharaoh called. Balaam, his 8 brothers, and his 2 sons.
Mm-hmm.
They are the people that withstood Moses. But 2 in particular, withstood him. And we're going to find out their names. And it's in the Bible. The names of these 2 sons of Balaam. They're there, okay? And what we're going to do now, so we see that Balaam was from a family of sorcerers, or if you want to just get technical, a family of prophets for hire. Guys who promise you something, they divine something and so forth, and people will go to him and pay him money, and he had 8 brothers who was into this stuff. So, as I said, Balaam and his whole family were a family of magicians or wizards or individuals who understood the art of black magic. Okay? And people do not understand that. But another thing too, brother, I'm gonna let you know this. If you can find it, you show it to me. Balaam was not a false prophet, as far as I've read. Because everything that he was asked, he told them, and it came to pass. I can't recall reading anything that he prophesied that was false. Now, if you can, I can be corrected, because I'm not above being corrected, but I'm not saying that he was a righteous man, because we saw him do some evil here too. I'm not saying that either.
He spoke the truth.
But he spoke the truth. If he conjured up something, he told you the truth. That's why the Lord tell you don't deal with these things. It might not be meant for you to know this stuff. Because you're supposed to trust in God. And this is the whole point I'm making. Which one are you going to trust in? A soothsayer or sorcerer? Or are you going to trust in God? And Israel was commanded to trust God. And they didn't
obey God.
And they didn't do that. They were not obedient. They were not perfect. As we read earlier with the word, they were not perfect before the Lord, meaning obedient. That's what perfection is. In any case, we're going to stay in Jasher. We're going to go to the book of Jasher again and go to the 79th chapter. We're going to read verse 1, 13, and 14 and skip to 19 and 27. This is about Moses getting the rod of Jehovah, or the stick of God. Because all wizards have a rod.
Or a wand.
Or a wand. What did Moses have?
He had a staff.
What did they cast down before Pharaoh?
A staff.
That was the rod of God. Okay? And like I said, you don't get all the material that you need to get to understand a lot of things in the Bible, because it will open up your understanding. You need to get this book of Jasher, the right one, because they got some fakes out there. You don't want that one. But in any case, let's go to verse 1 in Jasher 79. And so far, this makes sense, doesn't it? And you can line this up in the book. Okay? It just gives you more detail about certain characters, even Moses. All right, stop reading at verse 1.
And in those days, Moses was feeding the flock of Ruel, the Midianite,
Go ahead.
his father-in-law.
So now we know what we're talking about. Moses got married, and I'm skipping because I want to just get to the meat of these things. He had gotten married and so forth, and so he is dealing with Ruel, okay, the Midianite, okay, his wife's father. Continue to read.
Beyond the wilderness of sin.
Go ahead.
And the stick,
The what?
The stick.
The stick, that rod that he was carrying. Go ahead.
Which he took from his father-in-law was in his hand.
Because it was the rod of God. His father-in-law, if you know the story that's written in here in Jasher, that was the rod of God, of Jehovah. Okay? And anyway, skip now to verse 13. We'll read 13 and 14.
And Aaron, the son of Amram, the brother of Moses.
Now, Moses goes through what he goes through with the burning bush and all of that, and he's headed now back home, back to Egypt, to free or deliver Israel out of the bondage of Egypt. This is where we at right here. Okay, the Lord is going to do some things here. So he's talking to Moses and telling Moses something already happened, or either Aaron, one of the two, and he tells Aaron something. Go ahead.
And Aaron, the son of Amram, the brother of Moses, was in Egypt walking at the riverside on that day.
Go ahead.
And the Lord appeared to him in that place and said to him, Go now towards Moses in the wilderness. And he went and met him in the mountain of God.
Go ahead.
And he kissed him.
Continue. Now we're going to skip down to verse 19, reads to 27. So now they're hooking back up. Moses is back from Cush. You need to read that story about how he had to leave and just that and the other. And that's not what we after here, but I'm just showing you about this art of darkness, this black magic that Israel got involved in, and they were commanded not to deal with this stuff. Until this day, you still have Israelites dealing with this stuff. People who profess to be Israelites. And you have others who are not dealing with this stuff as well. So we're going to start this thing. Now Moses and Aaron getting ready to go approach Pharaoh and tell him what the Lord said. Thus said the Lord, let my people go. So skip to 19 and read 19 to 27.
And Moses and Aaron came to Egypt, to the community of the children of Israel.
They're going to tell Israel first, all of Israel, what the Lord did and told, you know what I'm saying, because Moses ran it down to Aaron and so forth. Now they go ahead.
And they spoke to them all the words of the Lord.
Go ahead.
And the people rejoiced, and exceedingly great rejoicing. And Moses and Aaron rose up early on the next day.
Go ahead.
And they went to the house of Pharaoh. And they took in their hands the stick of God.
The stick of Jehovah. Go ahead.
And when they came to the king's gate, 2 young lions were confined there with iron instruments.
They got these lions tied there just for show, to keep people out, brothers and sisters. And these lions are not just there. They are under a spell. You're going to see that when we keep reading. Go ahead.
And no person went out or came in from before them, unless those whom the king ordered to come. When the conjurers came and withdrew the lions by their enchantment.
By their spells. They conjured up spells on these beasts. Okay? Like people do today as well. And here you see it right here. And go ahead and continue.
And this brought them to the king.
Go ahead.
And Moses hastened to lift up the stick upon the lions.
He lifted up the rod of Jehovah, the rod of God, or the stick of God. Go ahead.
And he loosed them.
He broke them. He broke the spell, brothers and sisters. Go ahead. with what? The power of God. That witchcraft and stuff has no authority or no power over the power of God. And Moses was whittling it through that stick, the rod of God. Go ahead.
And Moses and Aaron came into the king's house.
Mm-hmm.
The lion,
Go ahead.
The lions also came with them in joy.
In joy. He broke that spell, and them lions was just like little kittens.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
And they followed them and rejoiced as a dog rejoices over his master when he comes from the field.
Okay, go ahead.
And when Pharaoh saw this thing, he was astonished at it.
He was more than astonished, brothers and sisters. You know that these magicians you got are putting spells on these animals, and they are doing exactly what they're supposed to do, and nobody can break these spells. And here you ain't seen a man, and I don't know how long, him and his brother walking there with these beasts that you using to protect you and to keep others out, which will devour them if they come there. And Moses and Aaron walking in there with these beasts that are playing like they
kids,
they're kids.
Rejoicing.
And rejoicing with these. You have to be astonished. What the heck is this? How did this happen? Okay, go ahead.
And he was greatly terrified.
I would be too. Go ahead.
At the report, for their appearance was like the appearance of the children of God.
Like angels, Moses and Aaron looked a certain way. You gotta keep that in mind too. So he was scared on all fronts. They looked like the angels, yet they broke those spells that were put on them, and them beasts were just like little kids. Go ahead.
And Pharaoh said to Moses, "What do you require?"
What you want, man? You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
And they answered him, saying, "The Lord God of the Hebrews has sent us to thee to say, send forth my people that they may serve me."
Because he had to ask him what you require. Anytime a man walking in with two lions that you probably had guarding you and probably killed some people in the past, perhaps, because that's what they were there for. They were guard dogs in a sense.
No one can come in or go out.
And here you see a guy walking in, him and his brother, and these lions are following them, and they joyful. Whoa, you looking at this like, hey man, what you need, man? What can I do for you? You certainly ain't gonna tell them to get out.
Okay.
You astonished at this. You can't believe it. But that's the power of God. Okay? And continue this.
And when Pharaoh heard their words, he was greatly terrified before them.
Greatly terrified. Go ahead.
And he said to them, "Go today and come back to me tomorrow." And they did according to the word of the king.
He got to regroup. He can't take all this. He's saying, this man is like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? But he going to summon some people because he can't believe this. How these guys do this, man? I'm sitting there, they rolled up on me. I'm helpless. I can't do nothing but, man, what can I do for y'all, man? You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
And when they had gone, Pharaoh sent for Balaam the magician and to Janus and Jambres his son.
Oh, so this is the name of these two boys, these two magicians that were with Balaam, his two sons. and everywhere he fled, he had these two boys with him. These are the two. These are also the two that withstood Moses. When you read about that in the Bible, you're looking at their names right here. And how, I'm going to show you something else. There was only one person in the Bible that mentioned these two boys. Only one man. How in the world did he know their names? He read them out of the book of Genesis, just like we did. And you should be reading it too. There's a lot more in here, brothers and sisters. But anyway, these are the two that withstood Moses. Okay, Janus and Jambres, because that J ain't in the Hebrew. But anyway, we just pronounce it in English, Janus and Jambres. Go ahead.
And to all the magicians and conjurers and counselors.
Don't that include his 8 brothers? They were there too. Because they went to Egypt with him when he ran from Moab. Go ahead.
Which belonged to the king.
Go ahead.
And they all came and sat before the king.
So he summons all of them. Said, man, look, man, this Moses,
They
man,
got past
my life, man. What's going on? They magic stronger than yours, or what's happening here? You know, what's going on? Hey, they got because the king, look, when you fail the king, that meant death or either prison. One or two things. So even these magicians thought that Moses and Aaron were just like them. And in a sense, they're right, but yet they were working with something more powerful. They were working from the power of God. Okay? Well, nothing evil about what they were doing. So Balaam and these magicians and sorcerers, they worked in the kingdom of Egypt, just like everywhere they went, and they were treated like royalty. But let's get back now to Balaam. I want to finish up on him because he was also called several things, and now he's going to be called something else. Let's go to Numbers 22, and we're going to read verse 6 and 7. And this is King Balak of the Moabites at this particular time. He was afraid of Israel, so he sent messengers to Balaam. We're getting back to this Balaam, and he wanted Balaam to do something. So it's going to tell you, it's going to give Balaam another title, but all these words mean the same thing. Okay, when you get to verse 6, start reading.
Come now, therefore, I pray thee, curse me this people.
Oh, so they wanted Balaam to curse Israel. And if he had done that, they'd have been cursed. But we read earlier, way in the beginning of the lesson, there was nothing you could do to Israel when it comes to putting a spell on them. Because as long as they was with the Lord, you might as well give it up. You can't do nothing with them. But when they fell away as time went on, they just made sport out of Israel. Most nations did. In any case, continue.
For they are too mighty for me.
Go ahead.
Peradventure I shall prevail, that we may smite them.
Why were they too mighty for him? Because the Lord was with them then. Go ahead.
And that I might drive them out of the land.
Go ahead.
For I wot that he whom thou blessed is blessed.
So they know. If you look, Balaam, we know whom you bless, he is blessed. This man had the ability to do that. Go ahead. And also,
and he whom thou cursest is cursed.
He was cursed. It's simple as that. Go ahead.
And the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian departed with the rewards.
Rewards? This is payment, brothers, of money. They departed with money to give it to who? The elders of Midian departed with the rewards of
divination.
Of divination. So if Balaam worked this divination or this spell or whatever, they paid him. He was, like I said earlier, Balaam was a prophet for hire. He cast spells on people. He even blessed people. We just read that. And whichever one he did, it was good as gold. Go ahead.
The rewards of divination in their hand.
Go ahead.
And they came unto Balaam and spake unto him the words of Balak.
But hey, the Lord had told him not to do this thing. Anyway, I mentioned to you earlier that the Bible only mentions one man in the Bible, only mentions the name of Balaam's two sons, Jannes and Jambres, and that was the Apostle Paul. Let's run right quick to 2 Timothy 3 and 5 and take a look at this and read a little something about this in 5. Then we're going to skip to 5 and 9. The name of Balaam's two sons, Paul mentions them right here. How did he know who they were if he didn't read the book of Jasher? Anyway, 2 Timothy 3, verse 5, then we're going we're going to read from 5 to 9. That's what we'll do. Okay? So when you get there, start reading.
Having a form of godliness.
Whoa. What he's talking about has a form of godliness. Go ahead.
But denying the power thereof.
Of God. If you're godly, God is with you, so the power has to be from who? God. But he's denying this. They have a form of godliness, but they're denying the power, meaning they're denying God. This is what this is telling you. Go ahead.
From such turn away.
Don't deal with these people. People like Balaam and others, his sons, his brothers, and the other magicians and so forth, the ones who did use this craft of witchcraft. Go ahead.
For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women.
Wait a minute.
Laden with sin.
Are we talking about houses like your own house? Yeah. But this also has a reference in some circles as church. A building, a place of worship. So these individuals who have a form of godliness, but they deny the power of God, say from such, hey, stay away from them. But they also, this is of the sort that sneak and creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins. Go ahead.
Led away with diverse lusts.
Now, if they do that, what do they put these women under?
Spells.
It's all that simple, brothers and sisters. You don't think this stuff being used today, you better wake up. Today, 2017. And it was used before 2017. It's been used, it has gone nowhere. It's still prevalent in our society and around this world, all over the world. Go ahead.
Ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth.
Because somebody's standing in the way, just like Balaam and his sons put them snakes on the four corners of the king of Moab, and he couldn't re-enter into his own kingdom. He's standing in the way. This is what this is telling you as well. Go ahead.
Now as Janus and Jambres,
Balaam's son, go ahead. They his two sons
withstood Moses.
So these are the two guys that withstood Moses in Egypt. Janus and Jambres, like we read in the book of Jasher. Go ahead.
So do these also resist the truth.
They resist the truth. Moses and Aaron didn't come that line. They were speaking the truth and they resisted it. And they stood against them and tried to conjure up magic or spells or witchcraft to basically do in Moses and Aaron by their ability. But they could, it just wouldn't work. Okay, go ahead.
Men of corrupt minds.
They have corrupt minds. Go ahead. Your mind is corrupted when you into this stuff. Go ahead.
Reprobate concerning the faith.
Reprobate concerning the faith. Ever learning, but never able to come to the knowledge of the truth because you reprobate. Go ahead.
But they shall proceed no further.
Just right. Go ahead.
For their folly shall be manifest unto all men, as theirs also was.
You're going to be revealed when people really open their eyes and start watching you very carefully. They're going to see what you're doing. The truth is going to be manifest right before them that you're not what you profess to be. Because it said, when we start reading this, it said they have a form of godliness.
You think they're godly, but they're not.
They act like it. They might even look like it. They
speak like
talk
it.
like it. Exactly. But they're not. So how are you going to differentiate between who's godly and who's not? You think this stuff is just some foolishness. But it's not. It's going on today in our society, brothers and sisters, and you better be careful. You better pay attention to who you listening to. Really, I mean that. So now what we're going to do is keep it moving. Now I want to define a few words that we read in Timothy, 2 Timothy, and to better understand what Timothy was saying to us. We got a real good understanding, but let's just look at something here. Let's go to the Strong's Bible Concordance in the Greek section and look at the word translated silly women, okay? And we're going to go to 1133 in the Strong's in the Greek section. What's that word?
The word is gunai kari.
Okay.
Karion.
All right. And what does it mean?
A diminutive form, a diminutive from 1135.
Go ahead.
A little, i.e. foolish women, silly women.
It's a foolish woman. And we could go even further with that word foolish, but that's enough. This is a foolish person. This person is sitting there and they foolish, and meaning that whatever said, they'll never get it. Because you're being fooled by somebody because something has been put on you, okay? But you're just a foolish person. Now let's stay in the Strong's, and we're going to look up this other word in the Strong's Bible Concordance, 4164 in the Greek section, the word translated diver's lust. What is that word?
The word is poikilos.
And it means?
Of uncertain derivative, motley.
Motley, go ahead. What's that? But go ahead.
I.e., various in character, diverse, manifold.
Manifold. Okay, and that word motley, it looks kind of, what is that word? I went to the Webster's Dictionary, the new Webster's New Collegiate Dictionary, page 751, copyright 1949 to 61 and 1973, and I looked up that word motley, and what does it mean?
It means a garment made of mixed color.
Oh, mixed colors. Go ahead.
Incongruous.
Go ahead.
Not matching.
That's what that means. Not matching. Go ahead.
The characteristic of dress of a professional fool.
Of a what?
Professional fool.
So not only is these people sitting there, they're foolish women, they're fools. Go ahead.
Jester fool.
They're fools. That's what this is telling you. These silly women, carried away in diverse lust, they're just foolish. They even look like professional fools because it's like they have on, right? They have on
different colors, funny hats, and all
exactly.
That stuff.
You know, you look at these people claiming going to
look
church.
Like clowns.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. All this stuff, hats going this way, and so forth and so on. This is what. If somebody was to understand, look at these people, they don't take all of that. Ain't nothing wrong with you looking nice now, don't get me wrong, but we just defining words here. And I'm going to look up another word in the Strong's, 454 in the Greek section. Look up the word folly, all right, in this context, and see what's the word?
The word is anoia.
And what does it mean?
From a comparative of one. As a negative particle.
Go ahead.
And 3563, stupidity.
Stupidity, brothers and sisters. These ain't my words. We just defining words to get at what Timothy was trying to tell us about these silly women, led away in diverse lusts, ever learn and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. And they ain't just about women. He's having to speak to women. These are some silly men too. Don't think it just excludes the men. No, it does not. Because they can have a form of godliness too. All right? And he's Timothy says, from such stay away. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. By implication, rage.
Rage.
Folly, madness.
It's like you're mad. Okay? Now let's keep it moving. And I want to review a little bit what the law says about these practitioners of these sinful things, these deeds and these acts and this art that the Lord commanded Israel not to deal with and delve in, this black magic. And we're going to go ahead and deal with some one-hit quitters here, okay? And let's start at Leviticus, the 20th chapter, and read verse 27. Because the Lord commands all his servants to be holy. And if you holy, you can't practice black magic, brothers and sisters. None of this stuff. Go ahead. Read that verse 27.
A man also or woman that hath a familiar spirit,
go ahead,
or that is a wizard,
go ahead,
shall surely be put to death.
That's what they did in the old days, brothers and sisters. Of course, we can't do it nowadays, these modern times. You be arrested for murder and so forth. But that's what they did. That was the law in the land of Israel. Because you could not mix this stuff in a holy land, in a holy place. It had no place there. So if you persisted on being like this, they just killed you. They just took you out. That was your sentence. Because this law was known by everybody. And when you broke it, it cost you your life. Go ahead.
They shall stone them with stones. Their blood shall be upon them.
That's what happened to people in the days of old. Notice that these spells and charms are used together. This is all one interpreting omens. It's all behind this phrase. Also rendering as enchantments, and most common of the four occurs in Genesis 30 and 27. We talk about Laban's experience. Genesis 44 and 5 and verse 15 referring to Joseph's cup. Okay, because he divined out of the cup. Yeah, Joseph. Israel had knowledge of this stuff too, brothers and sisters, and we have covered Numbers 23 and 23 and Numbers 24 and 1. We read that. And it was outlawed. This practice was outlawed in Israel. All his prophets put this stuff down. Like he told Isaiah in Isaiah 8. Read what he instructed Isaiah not to do. Not to walk like Israel walked, because it was wicked. Now start reading that Isaiah, the 8th chapter, verse 11. We're going to skip to 13, then 15 to the 20. So start at verse 11.
For the Lord spake thus to me with a strong hand, and instructed me that I should not walk in the way of this people, saying,
because it was wicked. Go ahead, skip to 13.
Sanctify the Lord of hosts himself, and let him be your fear.
Go ahead.
And let him be your dread.
Let him be your fear and your dread. Skip to 16.
Bind up the testimony, seal the law among my disciples.
Okay, now skip to 19.
And when they shall say unto you, seek unto them that have familiar spirits.
So anybody trying to convince you to seek somebody that can divine and deal with spirits and this, that, and other, what are you supposed to do?
Or unto wizards that peep.
That peep, go ahead.
And that mutter.
And mutter. That's like casting a spell. Mutter. Your words. Go ahead.
Should not a people seek unto their God?
Of course. Go ahead.
For the living to the dead.
Should you prefer the living or prefer the dead? Go ahead.
To the law and to the testimony. If they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them.
There's no truth in them. They start speaking this muttering, all this old nonsense, trying to conjure up some familiar spirit through conjuring and all of that. The light of God is not in them. The power of God is not in them. They're dealing with devils. Now let's continue this. We're gonna go to Deuteronomy and take a look at something right quick. Let's go to back to Deuteronomy 6 and read one verse 22. Because again, we're going to touch on Moses a little bit and Aaron, and the Lord demonstrated his power upon Pharaoh and all Egypt by their hands. The Lord taught them some things. And look what it's called, verse 22. Read that verse.
And the Lord showed signs and wonders, great and sore,
go ahead,
upon Egypt, upon Pharaoh, and upon all his household before our eyes.
Didn't the Lord send 10 plagues on Pharaoh? Great signs, great wonders. Okay? Supernatural things were happening, and it came by way of the power of God through Moses and Aaron. Because Moses had the rod of God, the stick of God. Okay? We're going to define a word right here, and to show you what this is dealing with. This is a righteous man, Moses, doing this. So this is not a wizard in the sense that he's a wicked individual. Let's put it that way. We're going to go to Strong's Bible Concordance 226 in the Hebrew, and we're going to look at the word translated signs. What's the word?
The word is oath.
And it means?
Probably from 225. In the sense of appearing.
Appearing, go ahead.
A signal.
Go ahead.
Literally or figuratively. As a flag, beacon, monument, omen, prodigy.
Go ahead.
Evidence, etc. Mark, miracle.
What?
Miracle.
Miracle, brothers and sisters. This is what we're getting at here. Omen, prodigy. Go ahead.
Ensign. Token.
Let's continue this and look at, he said, the Lord wrought great signs and wonders in Egypt. Go ahead. Let's stay in the Strongs and go to 4159 in the Hebrew, and we're going to look up the word translated wonders. What's the word?
The word is mo faith.
Okay, and what does it mean?
From 3302 in the sense of conspicuousness. A miracle.
A what?
A miracle.
Miracle. Go ahead.
And by implication, a token or omen.
Omen. Again. Go ahead.
Miracle.
Miracle.
Sign.
Sign.
Wonder.
Wonder. Go ahead.
Wondered at.
And Moses and Aaron were doing these miracles and this magic in front of all of Egypt and Pharaoh. This was by way of what though? The power of God. This is what kind of magic that was. Okay? And there's a difference. Not by the hands of demons and devils or wicked angels, but by the power of God. Okay, this was done. All right, we're going to continue this. And we're going to veer off and take a look. We haven't been in the New Testament for the most part. Let's go in the New Testament and see if we can find some of this stuff. Well, of course, we know we got much of this is going on in the New Testament where magic appears, not just, you know, in the Old Testament, but we talking about Simon the sorcerer, Elymas the sorcerer. You can read that. You can go to Acts 8 and 9. 8th chapter, 9th verse, and Acts 13 and so forth, and read about it. Then we had the Jewish exorcists, Acts 19. We can read about them. But this is all dealing with magic and sorcery, brothers and sisters. Okay? And in the in another Greek word translated sorcery, it came from the Greek word as our English word, pharmacy. This is what people are not understanding, and it's obvious that this has to do with drugs. What we're about to read here. We're gonna go to Revelation 9 and read 1 verse 21. Here we can connect the use of drugs to sorceries. Okay, which may
drugs are also potions.
Exactly.
That people drink to bring about certain things.
And I mentioned that earlier about Laman and his 2 wives. One was given a potion. But you can only read about that in the book of Jasher. In any case, read that 1 verse 21st verse.
Neither repented they of their murders, nor of their sorceries.
What?
Sorceries.
Sorceries.
Nor of their fornication, nor of their theft.
This is what this stuff brings about. Murder, fornication, and thefts, brothers and sisters.
They're all lumped together.
The use of drugs, they're all lumped together. Magic. This is what, with respect to the wrong person doing it. The magicians and that Pharaoh was using, the conjurers, okay, and the sorcerers and so forth, okay, not individuals like Moses and Aaron. In any case, the use of drugs caused this. Okay? Let's define another word here. We're going to go to the Strong's 5331 in the Greek section. The word translated sorceries. What's that word?
The word is pharmakia.
Okay, sounds like a word we know. But anyway, go ahead. And what does it mean?
Medicine. Medication.
Medication. Go ahead.
Pharmacy.
Pharmacy. Go ahead.
I.e., by extension, magic.
Magic, brothers and sisters. Go ahead.
Literal or figurative, sorcery, witchcraft.
This all has to do with it. When you say medication, what do you think that is? What do you think they call even booze, wine? They call what? Spirits.
And you know, back in the day, they had what is called the medicine man, who would take his cart and bring all these magic potions that's supposed to miraculously heal you and cure you of all sorts of things.
Exactly. And we're gonna stay in the Strong's and continue this. Let's go to Strong's in the Greek section 5332. And we're gonna define the word sorceries there, because it said it was from 5332. Okay? And just drop down one word and read that word, sorceries. Define it there. What is it?
Sorceries. The word is pharmacus. From pharmacon.
Right, go ahead.
A drug.
A drug, brothers and sisters. This is what we talking about here. Go ahead.
I.e., spell-giving potion.
That's what drugs do. It's like a spell being cast, and you drink too much. Sometimes you don't remember what you did. How in the world can you forget what you did? You lose consciousness, the ability to control your mind, your senses. And ain't nothing wrong with you ain't under no spell. Okay? You can't do things in excess, especially drinking or taking even medication that's supposed to help you heal. You can't take it in excess.
And it doesn't have to be in excess to make you have those
This
side
is true.
effects.
This is very true. Because some medications are
Can
very
make you
potent.
psychotic.
Exactly. Some can cause you to go crazy. They even tell you, they give you these warning signs, don't they? These new names for these drugs. It can cause you to think about committing suicide, all kind of stuff. Okay? So this is what we're talking about here, but it says a drug, i.e. spell-giving potion. Go ahead.
A druggist, pharmacist.
So a druggist or a pharmacist is a sorcerer? That's what it's telling you. Okay? Go ahead.
Or poisoner.
A poisoner. Because if you take too much of it, it can kill you.
Or take it at all.
Or if you take it at all, right, and it's not for you, it can kill you. This is you're dealing with drugs here, but we're still talking about magic. And all of this stuff is attached, brothers and sisters. Finish that.
I.e., by extensions, a magician, sorcerer.
A sorcerer or a magician. It's just like that's what you are. But it says a druggist or a pharmacist.
But see, that's what they used to do in those days.
Exactly.
They would put a little bit of this and a little bit of that and all these things, and it'll bring about a certain effect.
And control, in a sense, as well, over you, one way or another, for good or bad. But it says poisoner. It said that because if you take too much of it or take the wrong thing.
Or just take it, period.
Or take it, period. Depending, it all depends on the circumstance, it could kill you. Then we read about murder.
Well,
and one of the
there's drugs today that they tell you, if you take this drug, it could cause death. Really? Just taking it. Not that you took too much, you know?
Yeah. And people are not paying any attention to this stuff. This stuff is real, but it's connected to some things that you never even had an idea or a clue that it was connected to. But what we're going to do now is continue this. Go back to Revelations 18, and we're going to read one verse there. Verse 23, and this is connected as well. We talk about the same thing, same word, Greek 5331. We're talking about drugs here, brothers and sisters, spells, witchcraft, sorcery, and potions, okay, that will murder or kill you. Okay, read that one, verse 23.
And the light of the candle shall shine no more at all in thee.
Especially if you take the wrong medication, because you're going to be dead. Go ahead.
And the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee.
Sure, certainly it won't be if you're dead. Go ahead.
For thy merchants were the great men of the earth.
And what did these merchants use? They were the great men of the earth. What did they use?
For by thy sorceries were all nations deceived.
This stuff will deceive you, brothers and sisters. Drugs, magic, spell casting, all of this. This is all incantations, enchantments, and all the words that we've mentioned so far, soothsaying, charmer, being a charmer. All of this stuff is connected. It says these merchants, they became great men because they were using what? Sorceries to deceive the nations. And this should let you know something. Men in high places are using some strange brews or some strange medicine. You understand what I'm saying to you? And they're messing up, they're deceiving you. Let's continue this. So drugs are given in order to deceive you. For the most part. I'm not talking about the drugs that have healing principles involved and prior, you take medicine to heal you, but you can't overdo nothing. But you see the property of this stuff, it can harm you. And It's being used as potions by these sorcerers, these magicians, and so forth.
No, you have potions that are used for evil.
This is true. This is true. We're going to go to Revelation 21. We're going to read 7 and 8. Again, the word sorcerer is talking about drugs, brothers and sisters, and spell casting. Go ahead. Read 7.
He that overcometh shall inherit all things.
Go ahead.
And I will be his God, and he shall be my son.
Praise God to that. Go ahead.
But the fearful and unbelieving.
The who?
Unbelieving.
Go ahead.
And the abominable and murderers.
Did we read about Israel not having faith way back in the Old Testament? That was their problem. Go ahead. He said unbelieving and the abominable, because if you use this stuff, that's what you are. Go ahead.
And whoremongers and sorcerers.
And you mentioned murderers.
Mm-hmm.
Did we read that in the definition? Dealing with these drugs? Go ahead.
And idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death.
Brothers and sisters, I hope you're paying attention to this. This stuff is real. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's in your Bible. This is what got the nation of Israel kicked out of the land. Participating in practicing this black magic. Okay? And people to this day are still using these arts, these dark arts. And the Lord is not with you on it. He's against this stuff. He's against this practice because it deceives people. You are a deceiver if you use this stuff. And this is not no sleight of hands. This is real. But if you believe, fine. If you don't, close the Bible and just go on and, go on do your thing. But those who believe, you better pay attention to this. Because if you don't think that magic is real, if you don't think that sorcery is real and magicians are real, I ain't talking about that sleight of the hand stuff, them tricks that people be putting rabbits and all that. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about this stuff we've been reading about. This stuff is real. If you don't believe it, fine. But I think you'd be wise to believe it because it's going on right up under your nose. Always been going on, and it's continuing. It's going to continue. Because the Lord's going to put an end to all wickedness when he comes. So it's going to continue till he get here. Anyway, we're going to go to the last two places and reread an ancient warning that the Lord gave his servants. Let's go to Jeremiah 29 and read verse 8. And I'm telling you, pray that you're not deceived by any enchantment or magic or sorcerer, brothers and sisters. Read that verse 8.
For thus said the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel.
The God of Israel. Go ahead.
Let not your prophets and your diviners.
Wait a minute. So the diviners were along with the prophets. Israel got wicked brothers and sisters. Yes. This is why they were kicked out of the land. Continue.
That be in the midst of you.
In the midst of Israel, they had diviners and prophets. Because Balaam was a prophet for hire. Okay, go ahead.
Deceive you, neither hearken to your dreams which ye cause to be dreamed.
So they had dreams, and then these false diviners and false prophets would come and interpret, so to say, what they dreamed, and they were always wrong. All right, now we're going to read something else. We're going to now go to Acts the 19th chapter, the last place, and as you can see from reading out of the book of Jeremiah, chapter 8, the Lord said, they prophesy falsely unto you. Okay, in his name, they did this. Okay, but in any case, they were lying. But let's read about this black magic and dark arts, and in the days of Paul. We're going to read 10 and 11, Acts 19, 10 and 11, and then we're going to skip to 18 and 19. Read.
And this continued by the space of 2 years, so that all they which dwelled in Asia heard the word of the Lord Jesus.
Go ahead.
Both Jews and Greeks. And God wrought special miracles.
Special what?
Miracles.
Miracles, brothers and sisters. He gave them the power to perform miracles. And this word can be defined as magic as well. And all these other words we've been using. But in this case, we're talking about the servants of God. And these miracles came by way of what? The power of God. Okay? What no familiar spirits behind this? Go ahead.
And God wrought special miracles by the hands of Paul.
Scripture 18, we'll go to 18, 19.
And many that believed came and confessed.
Oh, they believed, so they had faith. Go ahead.
And showed their deeds.
Go ahead. They showed their deeds. What were these deeds? Go ahead.
And many of them also which used curious arts.
This was a part of their deeds. They was practicing this black magic. These curious arts. Look up that word. Go ahead.
Brought their books together.
So they had books telling them how to perform these spells and all of this magic and all of this stuff. They had these books with them and they brought these books. But these are the believers now doing this. Go ahead. What did they do?
And burned them before all men, and they counted the price
Go ahead.
of them, and found it 50,000 pieces of silver.
These books are expensive.
Woo.
Brothers and sisters, I don't even know how much money this is, but
They say here, just in the note of the Bible, 6,400,000.
a lot of money. These books are very expensive. As you try to find them today and purchase them, they will cost you a pretty penny. They got them. I'm telling you, this stuff ain't went nowhere. This art of doing this stuff, practicing magic and all of this, I'm not talking about the sleight of hand. I'm talking about the real deal. Conjuring up spirit, being a medium, a necromancer and all of that, talking to the dead and all of this stuff, predicting the future. This stuff is, the art of doing this is written in books, and they sell these books. So I hope and pray that you take heed to this class, because it is something that not a lot of people are talking about and not reminding you not to deal with this stuff. So, brothers and sisters, if you call yourself or profess to be a true servant of the Most High God, you should do as these people did here in the book of Acts. And you practicing this curious art or the dark arts or just plain and simple black magic. Don't do that, because the Lord ain't with you. Okay, take your book and burn it up just like they did. No matter how expensive it is, and never go back and buy another nor repurchase that book, because this is something that is used to deceive people. And if you're a deceiver of people, then God is not with you, He's not for you, He is against you. But again, this is a subject that people have just stopped talking about for the most part.
Or don't talk about, period. I mean, it's amazing to me that we've went to so many places in the book tonight, and all speaking of magic and sorcery. And
it's in the book.
I don't ever recall in any church that I ever went to where they spoke of these.
Yeah, an in-depth class or teaching on this to warn you what the Lord had to say and had His prophets say about this curious art, this art of witchcraft, okay, black magic, if you will, and so on, necromancy and enchantment. It's all tied in together, and the use of potions and all of this, whispering in a low voice, casting spells on people and so forth. All of this stuff, brothers and sisters, this is against the will of God. And we pray that you get some understanding. And there were so many more places I could have went to, but we can't teach on this subject no 15 hours, because that's how long it would take. That you can preach on this and then gather historical information. You'll be teaching longer than 15 hours on this topic.
Yeah, but we do have a few more of these type of lessons in store.
Most definitely do, because the Word of God demands it. So we would like to thank you for your ear, for listening, for joining us, and sitting down, listening to this class. And we hope it shed some light where there was darkness. So Teresa and I want to thank you for fellowshipping with us, and until next time, we would like to wish you Godspeed in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. We'll see you next time. Draw me.